Okay, we're going to take a lovely seat on the mat here, all together. Crossing the knees or taking a little seat on the feet, whichever is more comfortable. If you're sitting on the feet, it's nice to have a little cushion between your heels and your bum, because if you're anything like me and you've got a bony bum, then heels can really hurt. Closing down the eyes and taking the hands onto the knees, palms up, ready to receive positive vibes. I'm going to begin by slowing down the breath, breathing in for 1, breathing out for 1, breathing in for 2, breathing in for 2, breathing out for 2, breathing in for 3, breathing out for 3, breathing in for 4, breathing out for 4, breathing in for 5, breathing out for 5. And continuing this elongated breath to ground us for the class. Just placing on pause any thoughts or tasks from today. Place them to the back of our mind. Placing them on a little pinboard in the back of our minds. They're there. We can access them later. But for now, we're just focusing on ourselves and our time on the mat together. Today is a new moon or a full moon. It's a perfect time to release any negativity that we've had from the year so far and to focus on new tasks and new chapters and exciting new adventures that we might have, whether that's pursuing a new hobby or passion, or maybe it's just to reboot our mental health and give ourselves more time for us, reevaluating our priorities. Tucking the chin into the chest, just to feel a nice stretch along the back and the neck. And lifting the chin, taking the gaze to just above and ahead of us. We're going to really purposely roll back the shoulders, creating space between the ears and the shoulders, removing that desk hunch of the all been feeling today. And taking the head back to neutral. We'll begin the class with an Om together, making a prayer Anjali Mudra over the heart with the hands. We're going to inhale and exhale out through the mouth to expel any breath that we don't want. And then we'll inhale and Om together. Inhaling. Exhaling through the mouth. Inhaling. Lowering the head to the chest. And take the hands onto the back of the head. Just let gravity do the work, just stretching out the back and the neck. Raising up, opening the eyes. We're going to take the hands into the air, nice and tall. Spreading out the fingers. Each finger wants to stretch out as much as it can. The shoulders want to go back, rolling back those shoulders, and we're creating space between the ears and the shoulders and the arms. Exhaling to take the hands, bending them at the elbows. Pigeoning that chest nice and open. We're puffing it out, really proud. Creating a really nice chest opener here. Remembering to spread those fingers really nice and wide, giving them a nice little stretch. And taking the hands behind us, coming into a fist behind us. Keeping that chest nice and pressed open. We're going to hinge forward at the hips as far as we can go, and we're going to take the hands up. Just a nice little preliminary back opener and chest opener. Inhaling back to a neutral position. We're going to take the right hand onto the left side of the head. The left hand goes on the shoulder, and we're going to open out and create space on the left side of the neck. Really opening up here. I always insist on doing this pose because I think sometimes you can think, oh, well, you know, people know to roll back their shoulders, but it's such a purposeful thing to have to do that we often just forget to do it. It's not like rolling the neck. It's a really deep stretch. Inhaling, taking the left hand onto the right side of the head, right hand goes onto the shoulder. When we're sitting at our desks, we can often just slowly creep up those shoulders towards the ears like a really worried person. And it's really good to just really try and correct that. Lovely. Taking the hands onto the mat next to you, we're just going to purposefully open up those shoulders again, puffing out that chest, taking the shoulder blades in towards each other at the back, really actively pushing the shoulder blades together, taking the gaze up and ahead of you. And drawing the hands together in a fist in front of us, we're going to concave the back, tucking the chin into the chest and really rolling that spine, pushing the mid back out to the back of the mat, tucking the head in, ears next to the arms, doing a lovely little cat-cow here. Pushing the fingers out, flexing them out, wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. We're going to come onto our all fours, remove any cushions you have underneath you. Now would be a really good time as well to remove any socks. I say any socks, I mean your socks. Coming onto our all fours, we're going to lower the belly, untuck the feet, send the hips up and the head up and the gaze. Really flexing into that spine, into our cow. Remembering to push those shoulders back. Exhaling, coming into our cat, really rounding that spine, taking that mid back in towards the sky, really pushing it up. We want to imagine that we're propping it up,
the sky is underneath, was right above us, and we're really reaching for it with our backs.
Inhaling, coming into our cow again. This time maybe having a little wiggle side to side in the hips and in the shoulders maybe, if you fancy. Little wiggle side to side. Exhaling, coming into our cat again. This time we're going to rock forwards and backwards. Tucking that head in, chin towards the chest. So we're getting that full extent of the rounding. Lovely. Coming back to a neutral spine now. We're going to take the right hand up towards the sky. And exhaling, threading it underneath the left, taking the head onto the mat and the whole arm onto the mat. That left arm can either be up in the air, it can be bound behind you, or it can just be on the mat ahead of you, just helping you with stability. It's a really nice twist. Inhaling, coming back to a neutral spine, we're going to swap over. Left hand comes up on the inhale. Exhale, threads it underneath the right. And again, that right hand can either go up in the air, it can go behind us, touching the left thigh, or it can go on the mat ahead of us, helping us stay upright and nice and stable. And the next inhale, coming back to a neutral spine. Going to do a little bit of coordination here, which might be difficult. So we're going to send that right hand forward and the left hand back, right arm forward and left foot back. There we go. Flexing the feet towards the ground, so we're not pointing the toe. We're really purposely making sure that big toe is pointing towards the ground. On an inhale, we're going to tuck and take the elbow to knee. Exhale, sends it back out again. Inhale, tucking elbow to knee, and once again, sending it back out again, nice and strong. Lifting up that leg, making sure that we're one straight line. Lovely. Inhale, elbow to knee once again. Exhale, turn it out, taking the right hand to meet the left foot and opening up the hip by sending the heel towards the bum. Lovely. Exhale to come back to all fours. Give yourself a little wiggle. And on the inhale, left arm comes out, right foot goes back. Big toe goes towards the ground. Inhaling, tucking knee to elbow. Exhale, send it back out again. And inhaling, tucking knee to elbow. Exhale, sends it back out. Nice and strong, lifting up that leg. Inhale, tucking knee to elbow. Exhaling, sends that hand back to meet the foot. Opening up that hip by sending the heel to the bum. Really working into the glutes and into the front hip here. And exhale, sends it back. Little wiggle, little wiggle. Flexing those toes now, we're going to come onto our heels. And we're going to take the hands in front of us into a fist. And we're going to round with that fist, just making a little circle. Going into the hip joints here, tucking those toes in. It may not feel like much, but in a minute, swapping hands, change direction, sorry. In a minute, it will feel really nice and opening. One side may be more difficult than the other. And taking that fist up in the air, extending those palms of the hands up towards the ceiling so we're nice and tall once again. Cactusing the arms as you exhale back, pigeoning that chest, really proud, really puffing out, and meeting the hands at the back into a fist once again. Maybe try a different way. Try the weird way with the thumbs. Sending the shoulders back, Taking a deep inhale, we're going to hinge at the hips, and we're going to send our head onto the mat and the arms over the head. Lovely. Releasing the hands, coming into your all fours. Stopping the hands maybe a couple of inches above where they want to be. We're going to send those knees off the ground, and we're going to send the hips all the way up into our first down dog. Walking the dog by pedaling out those heels. Maybe you want to go one side and the other. Maybe you want to go onto your heels and your toes. Really getting into that really nice stretch here through the back and through the hamstrings. Making sure that we're creating space between the shoulders and the ears. So some nice wiggle room for your head. Resting here. Send the gaze forward. Maybe you should walk the hands a little bit further because we're going to ripple the body, coming into our plank. Nice and strong here. Inhaling to take those knees, hovering just a few inches above the ground, really working into that core here. Really utilizing those thigh muscles to keep us really strong and stable here. Exhaling to send it back into the down dog. Pedal out if you need to. I like a good pedal. Gazing forward once again, inhaling, coming to your plank. Exhaling here. On an inhale, we're going to come into our forearm plank. So we're just on our forearms here. The hands are outspread in front of us. Inhale to come back to our high plank. Exhale to take those knees to just a few inches above the ground. Inhaling back to our down dog and pedal. Pedal, pedal, pedal. Inhaling to come forward into our plank once again. Exhaling, coming down to our forearm plank. Inhaling, coming to our sphinx, so we're going to lower the hips, flatten the toes into a gentle back bend. And lowering the chin. We're going to take the hands alongside us, okay, the fingers pointing towards the feet. On an inhale, we're going to lift up just the legs. Don't worry about keeping them close together. If you need to have them open for your lower back, that's fine. Just lifting up the legs, seeing if we can get the knees and the thighs maybe off the ground, using those glutes and the core. Exhale to coming, resting on one cheek. Inhaling to lift up the legs and the arms maybe. So we're just sort of resting on our tummy and on our tail area, our pelvis area, I should say. Really getting into that lower back here. If it feels uncomfortable, it feels like you might be in pain, don't do it. Come down lower. If you feel like you can go higher, go higher. Keeping those shoulder blades in together will make sure that you're a little bit higher. Exhaling, coming down, resting on the other side now. Inhale and exhale. Inhaling, we're going to take the feet in the hands, come up into a bow. This is a really nice pose for creating space between the shoulders and the chest and the hips. Rather than seeing if you can keep your knees together, maybe see if you can take your knees out just for a really nice hip opener at the same time. Lowering down. Taking a cheek. Taking the hands under the shoulders, tucking the toes. Coming into your down dog. We're going to walk the hands and feet together. Coming into a forward fold in the center of the mat. Taking the hands onto the back of the head. Like before, just letting gravity do its thing. Sending the body, the chest, down to the thighs,
Maybe taking elbow to elbow behind the head, taking a little swing side to side. Lovely.
And from here, we're going to take the hands onto the mat. And we're just going to take a little stroke of the body as we roll up both our vertebrae, really activating those legs by touching them, bringing the hands up over the head, coming into make a fist above our heads or taking Kali Mudra, pistol fingers, like we're James Bond. And arms go over the ears, coming up onto your tiptoes maybe. It's a really nice stretching up pose. Lowering those heels, we're going to inhale and come over to the right side, stretching out the left side of the body. Just a little side bend. I'm going to come over so you can see me. Inhaling back to center, exhaling over to the left side now. And inhaling back to center, cactusing the arms, taking a bend at the elbow. We're going to take the hands towards the side, palms facing towards the front, feet at hip width distance, activating the leg muscles and the kneecaps and the glutes and the tummy, and really making ourselves nice and present here into our Tadasana mountain pose. Sorry, I can't read my own writing. Exhaling, taking the hands onto the hips. Inhaling, we're going to send that right foot out in front of us. Nice and active, taking those toes up towards the ceiling. You'll feel it all down your thigh. Inhaling to take that knee in towards the chest. Exhaling to take that knee out to the side in your right hand. Try not to fall over, finding your drishti or your focal point in front of you. Taking the left hand to the side for stability or placing it on the hips. Opening out that hip. Inhaling, taking the leg back to center. We're going to bring it onto the inner thigh or onto just below the knee into our tree pose. Inhaling to take those hands up to form branches, and we're going to do this really fun hand mudra, which I like to call like the Maleficent, like we're casting a spell. Mwahaha. It's a really nice way to activate the hands, to feel very powerful. If you fall out, don't worry, you can just go back into it again. Lowering the hands now, we're going to take the foot or the ankle over the knee, coming into Anjali Mudra, hands in prayer over heart. We're going to hinge forward at the hips as much as we can. And here's where it's really good if you have a block. If you're not, don't worry. You can just bend the knee, and we're just going to try and get those hands onto the mat ahead of us. Really opening up that hip. Inhaling to come back up to the sky. I'm going to turn around. We're going to take, we're not going to fall over. We're going to take that foot now in the right hand. We're just going to come and stretch it out behind us, sending that weight and countering it with a hand in front of us with the left. It's a really gentle dancer pose. We're going to take Jan Mudra, which is first finger and thumb. Exhaling to come back to center. Lowering both the legs. Give yourself a little wiggle. Inhaling Taking the left foot now in front of us. Right hand comes onto hip, or both. Really strong leg. Every inhale, we want to try and send that leg a little bit higher if we can. Inhaling to take in that knee, really hug it into the chest. Exhale to send it out to the side. Right hand comes out in a counter, or it can go on the hip. Finding your drishti, your focal point, something that's not moving ahead of you. Focusing on that means that you can create stability in the body. When you're in a real life yoga class, the worst thing you can do is try and focus on someone else's mat ahead of you, because if they fall, then you fall. Inhaling, taking the knee in, placing it into tree pose, either above the knee or underneath the knee. Try and mirror what you did on the other side if you can. Oh, God. Inhaling, sending those hands up into our Maleficent mudra. I fully think I've made this up, but I think it's a really powerful mudra. And to all you know who don't know, a mudra is just a hand gesture. Sending those hands down. We're going to turn, well, I'm going to turn. We're going to take that left hand into the left foot into the right foot, sending the leg back and creating a counterbalance with the right hand, taking Jan Mudra, first finger to thumb, sending the weight forward and really opening up that hip. Lovely. Sending ourselves back, giving ourselves a little wiggle, wiggle. Lovely. And what have I written here? Something over knee. That doesn't make any sense. We're going to roll down into our forward fold. Remembering that we're always rolling down at the hips. When we roll down, we never want to roll like this. We want to imagine that the body is in two halves. So when we fold down, we're almost a hinge at the hips. Hinging. You can feel it on the back of the hips. So when we get down, we can hopefully get our fingers onto the mat, at least the fingertips. And if we can't, then we're just going to bend those knees just to make sure that that back is feeling a really nice extension. Taking the first two fingers on the thumb, we're going to wrap them around the big toe, and we're going to open the elbows to get our chests onto the thighs. Inhale and exhale into that stretch for the back. Lovely. And from here, stepping back with the right foot, then the left, coming into our downward dog. We're going to take the right hand in the center of the mat, roll over onto the inside and the outside edges of the feet, coming into our side plank. If you struggle with side plank, I always find if you just take the hips up as if it feels like unnatural, it's a really good way to stabilize yourself while you're gaining strength in the core. So we're not ending up like this. We're always nice and active. When we're in our side plank as well, we can take one foot in front of the other. We can take them side by side. We can take a leg up, or we can just take that knee on the inside leg and just come into the side plank, a nice, gentle version. We're all going to meet in the knee down version of side plank. Inhaling, we're going to come up. Our foot is nice and extended. We're going to send that left hand behind us to meet the thigh on the right side. We're going to take that right hand over the body, coming into our gate pose. A really nice stretch here. Inhaling to come back down into our down dog. Now I'm going to turn around so you can see me. We're going to come onto a side plank on the left side, sending the left hand back, into the center of the mat. Right hand comes above. Again, with the foot, we can go next to each other, side by side, up, or you can just kick something, or you can just take that knee, this time it's the left knee, and just lean over with the hands into a nice side plank. All the benefits without the wibbly wobbliness. Meeting now, we're all going to come into our kneeling version. We're going to take the left hand off the mat. We're going to take it overhead the other way, pointing towards the right foot. The right hand comes behind the body into a bind. I'm just going to touch the left thigh. The gaze just kind of hovers here. Nothing too strenuous for the neck. Hands go back into our down dog. Pedal it out. Come onto the knees. We're going to take a Z fold here, prepping for our camel. So we're going to tuck those toes in. We're going to send the hands out in front of us. Some of you may know what I'm going to do here. The hands are out. And tucking in the tummy, on an inhale, we're going to lower the bum towards the heels, not on the heels, just above it, using that core to keep us in a lovely Z shape. And you can see in my camera, my nice Z shape here, be it backwards. And inhaling to come back, give ourselves a little wiggle, 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 wiggle. And inhaling, coming back into our Z, making sure that we're not going too high with the arms or too low. We're nice and parallel with the ground, really using the glutes and the core to keep us stable. Inhaling back up, taking one hand, then the other onto the heels behind us if we can, and puffing up that chest. If it's not possible for you to reach, don't worry, you can take the hands onto the back and we can just gently lean backwards. And I think it's quite nice to go onto the heels. Don't worry about lifting the head if it's too strenuous. You can just take the gaze slightly above and ahead of you, making sure we're puffing out that chest like we've done up until now. And releasing the head if it's possible. On your next inhale, taking the hands onto the knees, gently rolling back into our seated position on the heels here. Taking the hands onto the mat ahead of us, lowering the belly, raising the hips and the gaze into our cow once again. Maybe now we're doing this, we're slightly more flexible so we can go a little bit further into the hips. We can take a little deeper wiggle here, really working it out. And exhaling, coming into our cat. Again, maybe it's slightly deeper this time, it's slightly more comfortable, more fluid. Sending the hips back a little bit further, the knees back, sorry. We're going to take the hands ahead of us on the mat. We're going to lower the arms. We're going to come into our puppy pose. And here it's either taking the forehead onto the mat, we can feel a nice stretch between the shoulder blades, or it's the chin. Whichever way you do, it's a really nice way to open up the chest and the back. I like to do this every morning because I don't know about you guys, but when I sleep, I'm all over the place. So it's really nice to just have a little back bend in the morning. Coming back into our hands on all fours, lowering down the elbows, we're going to place the hands into a fist. So we've got our forearms in a fist ahead of us. We've got our knees on the ground. We're going to tuck the toes and we're going to come into our hips high pose, and we're going to walk those toes in towards the body into our dolphin. Now in a dolphin, we're going to inhale and send that head over the hands. Exhale to send the heels down. Inhale, head over hands coming onto the toes. Exhaling, heels down. Inhale, head over hands onto the toes. Exhaling, heels down. Taking the gaze between the hands now towards your feet, just getting a really nice stability in the pose. And exhaling, lowering down the knees, taking them really wide, touching the toes together. We're going to come into a nice open-legged balasana, child's pose, stretching those hands out ahead of us on the mat. For an inhale, we're going to take the hands over to the right side, so placing the right hand down, left hand on top, stretching into that left side. Inhaling, walking the hands over now towards the left side. Left hand goes down first, right hand goes on top. Feeling a nice gentle stretch in the right side. Inhaling, walking the hands back to center. We're going to walk those hands up. And we're going to meet in a seated position. Legs out in front of us into our Dandasana, active seating position. Removing any flesh from the bones. Setting the feet out in front of us. Toes are active towards the ceiling. Bringing up, like we did on Tadasana, bringing up those leg muscles, kneecaps, thighs. Sitting nice and tall here. Taking the hands behind us on the mat so the thumbs go towards the body. Puffing up that chest, nice and strong. Taking those hands ahead of us or above us. And hinging at the hips like we did in our forward fold. We're going to fold forward, taking those hands onto the shins, onto the feet. Maybe they come onto the mat. Whichever way is nicest. If we can, we're going to try and get our whole hands underneath the feet. So it's a really nice active pose. And we're trying to keep that back nice and straight so we're not rounding, sending those shoulders up towards the cheek, towards the ears. We're nice and straight here. And we just fold at those hips, sending the body forward with every exhale. Inhaling to rise up. Exhaling into the pose. Lovely. And from here, if we can, we're going to take the left foot out. I mean, I'm doing it this way because this is the way my space is, but we're going to come to an open leg fold. Trying to retain that nice fold that we've already got going from the Dandasana. Taking the fingers and binding them with the thumb around the big toes, hinging at the hips, sending the flesh and the seat bones back, bringing the body forward. Bending at the elbows, bending elbows to knees. So we're really working into that back rather than trying to come into a split or anything. It's all about making sure that back has some lovely strength in it. Lovely. And inhaling to come up to a seated position, bringing those legs back together again. We're going to take the left foot, we're going to bend the knee, and we're going to take the foot, the outside edge of the right leg. So it looks like this. Lovely. We're going to raise up that right hand and we're going to take the elbow to the outside edge of the knee, coming into a lovely twist. That left hand comes behind us. On the next inhale, we'll release the arms and the legs, and we then take the right foot now toward the outside edge of the left knee. Left arm goes, or elbow goes towards the right knee, and we hinge here at the waist, coming into a lovely twist, facing the right side. Right hand is behind us for stability. Really twisting at that middle, letting that abdomen, that belly, get itself into a little twist. Keeping back nice and straight, nice and tall. And releasing on an exhale, bringing those knees up into the chest, and we're just going to give ourselves a little hug. Taking the feet up into our cosmic egg, tucking in that head. Lovely. Maybe giving the toes a little wriggle. Wriggle, wriggle, wriggle with the toes. And just when you thought you could get out of it, it's back again. It's everyone's favorite. Taking the hands, lifting up the feet, taking the hands behind the thighs into our boat pose. Nice and tall in the back. We're going to lift up those legs. They're parallel with the ground, or at least the lower legs are. Inhaling and exhaling deeply. Inhaling, seeing if we can extend those legs nice and strong, nice and long. Keeping ourselves nice and stable. Maybe we can release the arms. And exhaling, lowering down into our hollow rock. We're a few inches off the ground with the head and the feet. And inhaling, coming back up. Taking the knees behind the thighs, giving yourself a little wiggle. And exhaling, inhaling, coming into our boat again. Lower legs are parallel with the mat. Maybe you can stretch out the legs so you're one straight line. Maybe you can send out the arms. And exhaling, calming down, and into your laying down pose. Get comfortable here. We're going to send the knees up, feet come onto the mat. We're going to get it so that our middle finger can gently graze the heels. Palms of the hands go onto the mat. Inhaling, we take the hips up towards the ceiling. And maybe we can tuck in the shoulders while we're here. Really clenching those glutes. Exhaling, coming down. Getting that lower back on the ground. Windscreen wipering the knees. So side to side. Giving yourself a little massage. Inhaling, taking those hips up again. Shoulder blades are behind on the mat. Maybe we can make a fist with our hands. Coming nice and tall with the hips, really stretching them out. It's a really good exercise for your thighs and your glutes and your tummy. And exhaling, calming down gently, windscreen wipering the legs. And inhaling, taking the knees onto the chest. Taking the hands through the knees, coming into our happy baby. So taking the feet on the outside edge. Making sure that lower back is still on the mat, so we're not up really high. We're just letting that lower back feel it here. And taking the feet out to the outside edge of the mat. Taking the hands out, palms up. We're just going to do a little squeeze before we come into our Shavasana. So we're going to activate the toes into a ball, the leg muscles, the glutes, really pushing them up, activating the core, the chest, making fists with the hands and the arms, squeezing the face in, like if you've just eaten a lemon. And release. Take a deep breath here. And exhale. Now I am going to close the class with you all, but feel free to take an elongated Shavasana if you'd like. Feel free to practice a little bit of mindfulness, maybe sitting after class. It'll be really beneficial. The Shavasana is often the most enriching part. It's a nice time to decompress everything that you've done in class. And we can often sort of think, oh, well, I'll rest later. But it's really important. Stepping away from the yang to have a little bit of yin and letting thoughts fall into place. Inhaling, we're going to send those knees up and we're going to roll over onto our favorite side, using the hands to come up into a seated position, cross-legged or on the knees, placing the hands palm down this time because we have received our knowledge of the day, keeping those eyes closed. Taking the hands in Anjali Mudra. I just want to say a big, big thank you to you lovely people for coming to class today and joining me on my birthday. And also for taking the time during a full moon, which can often be a very turbulent time emotionally, to give ourselves a little bit of me time, a chance to reset. That's exactly what a full moon is for. Chin down towards the chest. Taking the hands to the third eye. The light in me sees the light in you. The strength in me honors the strength in you. And we bow into Namaste. Thank you, lovely guys.